The relationship between Russia and Ukraine is one knotted with historical complexities, a tapestry woven with threads of shared heritage and periods of bitter conflict. The roots of their intertwined history stretch back centuries, to times when both regions were part of the Kievan Rus, a powerful medieval state. Over the years, the territories have seen numerous shifts in power, with both nations experiencing periods of unity and division. The current conflict, which erupted in 2014 with Russia's annexation of Crimea, is but the latest chapter in this long saga. This event was a significant turning point, leading to widespread international condemnation and sanctions against Russia. The annexation was preceded by the Euromaidan protests in Ukraine, where citizens demanded closer integration with Europe and an end to corruption. At the heart of the conflict lies Ukraine's desire for self-determination, and its aspiration to forge closer ties with the West, a move that symbolizes a break from its Soviet past and a step towards a more democratic and prosperous future. This desire is reflected in the country's efforts to join institutions like the European Union and NATO, a prospect viewed with deep suspicion by Moscow. Russia perceives Ukraine's westward shift as a direct threat to its sphere of influence and national security. The Kremlin has consistently portrayed NATO's eastward expansion as a provocation, arguing that it undermines regional stability. Russia, under Vladimir Putin, sees Ukraine as a vital buffer state, and has reacted aggressively to any perceived encroachment by NATO or the European Union. This stance is rooted in a long-standing geopolitical strategy to maintain a sphere of influence over former Soviet states. The annexation of Crimea sent shockwaves through the international community and marked a dangerous escalation of tensions. It not only violated international law, but also set a precedent for future territorial disputes. The move was widely condemned, leading to a series of economic sanctions against Russia. Years of simmering hostilities have resulted in a devastating humanitarian crisis, with the conflict in eastern Ukraine causing widespread destruction and suffering. The war has led to significant loss of life, with thousands of civilians and soldiers killed, with countless lives lost and millions displaced from their homes. The ongoing conflict has created a dire situation for many, with families torn apart and communities destroyed. The international community continues to call for a peaceful resolution, but the path to peace remains fraught with challenges. Amidst the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, former U.S. President Donald Trump has re-emerged on the world stage, inserting himself into the complex diplomatic efforts aimed at finding a peaceful resolution. Trump, known for his unconventional approach to foreign policy and his seemingly cordial relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin, has engaged in high-profile phone calls with both Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. These interventions have sparked speculation and debate, with some questioning Trump's motives and others hoping his involvement might break the diplomatic deadlock. As the world watches, the question remains whether Trump's involvement will pave the way for meaningful dialogue or further complicate an already intractable conflict. On March 19, 2025, the world listened intently as news broke of a significant phone call between former U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. This conversation, lasting for an hour, was seen as an attempt to bridge the chasm between Russia's demands and Ukraine's need for support. Central to the discussion was aligning the disparate demands of the warring parties. Trump reportedly pressed Zelensky on the possibility of finding common ground with Russia, emphasizing the need for compromise. Zelensky, while acknowledging the importance of dialogue, remained steadfast in his commitment to defending Ukraine's sovereignty. The conversation highlighted the immense challenges in brokering a peace deal that would satisfy both Russia and Ukraine. Amidst the diplomatic wrangling and escalating tensions, a glimmer of hope emerged, a prisoner exchange brokered by Russia. This humanitarian gesture, announced by President Putin shortly after his phone call with Trump, saw the release of 23 wounded Ukrainian soldiers. The prisoner exchange, while a positive development, represents a small victory in a much larger conflict. Some observers view the exchange with skepticism, suggesting it may be a tactical maneuver by Putin to deflect attention from Russia's continued aggression. Others interpret it as a genuine gesture of goodwill, a sign that even amidst hostilities, a desire for peace still exists. The recent diplomatic activity surrounding the Russia-Ukraine conflict has elicited a range of reactions. from cautious optimism to outright skepticism. The international community watches closely as leaders navigate this complex and volatile situation. The stakes are high and the outcomes uncertain, making every move and statement subject to intense scrutiny. Trump has characterized his involvement in glowing terms, touting his phone calls with Putin and Zelensky as very good, and proclaiming the peace process on track. He has emphasized his unique ability to broker deals and bring about peace, a claim that has been met with both support and criticism. His supporters argue that his unconventional approach could yield results where traditional diplomacy has failed. This optimistic assessment has been met with skepticism from those who question Trump's motives and understanding of the geopolitical realities. Critics argue that his approach lacks the necessary depth and nuance required for such a delicate situation. They point to his past statements and actions as evidence of a superficial understanding of the complexities involved. Zelensky, while acknowledging the potential for progress, has adopted a more measured tone, emphasizing the need for concrete action and tangible results. He has called for a clear and verifiable commitment to peace from all parties involved. His pragmatic approach reflects the harsh realities on the ground and the need for a sustainable and lasting solution. Skeptics point to the contradiction between Putin's pledge to pause attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure and the subsequent drone strikes on Kyiv. This inconsistency has fueled doubts about Russia's true intentions and commitment to peace. The ongoing violence undermines diplomatic efforts and raises questions about the feasibility of any proposed ceasefire. This blatant disregard for a ceasefire has cast a long shadow over Russia's commitment to de-escalation. The international community remains wary, and the path to peace appears fraught with obstacles. As the situation continues to evolve, the balance between optimism, pragmatism, and skepticism will shape the future of this conflict. The recent phone call between Trump and Zelensky is not their first foray into international diplomacy. Their relationship, though relatively new, has already seen its share of complexities and public scrutiny. The dynamics between the two leaders have been a subject of intense media focus, especially given the political climates in both the United States and Ukraine. 3 weeks prior, the two leaders found themselves at the center of a media storm, following a meeting that sparked both intrigue and ridicule. This encounter was highly anticipated, with many speculating on the potential outcomes and the nature of their discussions. The media coverage was relentless, capturing every moment and analyzing every gesture. The earlier meeting, unlike the recent phone call, was light on substantive policy discussions and heavy on awkward photo opportunities. The body language of both leaders was scrutinized, with many noting the forced smiles and uneasy handshakes. It was clear that both were trying to navigate a complex diplomatic landscape while managing their own domestic pressures. Critics accused Trump of using the occasion to bolster his own image and distract from domestic political scandals. The timing of the meeting raised eyebrows, with some suggesting it was a strategic move to divert attention from ongoing investigations and controversies back home. The optics of the meeting were carefully managed, but not everyone was convinced by the display. Zelensky appeared eager to secure American support, but wary of being drawn into Trump's unpredictable behavior. As a relatively new leader on the international stage, Zelensky was keenly aware of the importance of U.S. backing for Ukraine's security and political stability. However, he also had to tread carefully to avoid becoming entangled in U.S. domestic politics. The memory of this earlier encounter looms large over the current diplomatic efforts, serving as a reminder of the potential pitfalls of Trump's involvement. Both leaders are now more cautious, aware that their interactions are under a global microscope. The stakes are high, and the world is watching to see how this complex relationship will evolve. As the world hopes for a diplomatic breakthrough in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, it's crucial to acknowledge the immense challenges ahead. The path to peace is fraught with obstacles, each a testament to years of animosity and deep-seated mistrust. One significant hurdle is the vast gulf between the stated positions of Russia and Ukraine. Bridging this divide will require extraordinary concessions from both sides, something highly improbable in the current climate. Another major stumbling block is the lack of a neutral arbiter capable of facilitating dialogue and mediating disputes. Finding a solution that addresses the security concerns of all stakeholders, without further inflaming tensions, will be a Herculean task. The pursuit of peace in the Russia-Ukraine conflict inevitably demands sacrifices. For a lasting resolution, both sides must be willing to make concessions and compromise on some of their most dearly held positions. For Ukraine, this might mean accepting that reclaiming all lost territories, particularly Crimea, might be unrealistic in the near future. Russia might need to reconsider its insistence on dictating Ukraine's foreign policy choices and acknowledge its neighbors' right to self-determination. The path to peace will be paved with difficult choices, with each side forced to weigh the costs of continued conflict against the potential benefits of compromise. As the world watches, the future of Ukraine hangs precariously in the balance. Despite the challenges, it's crucial to cling to the hope that a peaceful resolution can be found. The human cost of this conflict has been immeasurable, with countless lives lost and families torn apart. The economic consequences have been equally devastating, with infrastructure destroyed and livelihoods shattered. Yet, even amidst the ruins, there are glimmers of hope, such as the recent prisoner exchange. The path to peace will be long and arduous, but the alternative, a descent into further violence and chaos, is unthinkable. It is incumbent upon all parties to embrace dialogue and strive for a future where peace prevails.